Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Keeping Up with KP. Today's episode was supposed to be me taking you through my 2-week self-care hair saga and showing you how I prioritize myself as an athlete and just during a very full time in my life. But somewhere along the way, it turned into something a little bit deeper because during the same 2-week span, we are still in the process of moving, and I'm also closing a chapter of my life. And with that, it has brought a lot up. So this episode kind of became a reflection of my career, my growth, and I share some of the stories that have shaped who I am today. There's a lot about me that people see online with the fitness and the discipline, my routine, my structures, but there's also a lot about me that most people don't know. For a very long time, I didn't want my past to define me, but something happened very early on in my career that really just shaped me into the person that I am today. And about 3 years ago, I did a podcast. But there are phases to owning your story and who you are. And shortly after I posted that podcast, I shame spiraled and I took it all down. So I've kind of reached a point in my life and in my career where I'm connecting all the dots and I'm making sense out of things. And with this just being my personal online diary, it just kind of came up and it kind of came out this week. Most people don't really understand the whole bodybuilding thing, why I take it so seriously. And honestly, I'm not sure I even knew myself why I was either. I think I reached a point in my life where everything felt so uncertain and I just needed something to anchor into, especially during times in my life where I felt weak and hopeless. What I've come to find in the last 2 weeks of sharing the journey, which you'll soon hear, is that the systems and processes in bodybuilding that have become my entire life are very similar to the systems and processes of the technique that I fell in love with and became known for the last 13 years. So in this episode, I connect some dots between my time in the beauty industry, the things I went through quietly, and why bodybuilding became such an important part of rebuilding myself. It's part self-care, part reflection, and part closing a chapter. And I'm just going to take you through it as it unfolded.
Okay, so anytime I get my hair done, it's like a process. Usually it takes like about 2 weeks, all said and done, especially now that I have extensions. So I've been trying to timeline it around my people and myself. I kind of have to be like very flexible with it because everybody that does my hair is also busy and insane like me. So I have a girl local who's going to remove my extensions right now. And then probably over the weekend, I'll face frame myself. Monday, I'm going to go into the city and have Blake baby light the rest of my head. And then on Sunday, next Sunday, I'm doing hair in the city and my assistant is going to reinstall my extensions. So this is going to be a 2-week process of me getting my hair done. But hey, we have to do what we have to do. Like, self-care for me is always pretty stressful because it's very last minute. So we're gonna go get our extensions removed. It was kind of like up in the air if this was gonna work out today, but it's going to. I feel like I'm gonna feel very naked for a week. I've been wearing these for about a little less than a year.
All right, you guys, this is part 2 of the hair saga. I got my extensions taken out on Friday. It is Sunday, 5:49 p.m. So, no extensions in. My hair has grown quite a bit in the last 2 years since I destroyed it trying to do a bleach and tone for stage. So now that the extensions are out, I can highlight my hair. So I'm gonna do the front of my hair so that tomorrow when I get the back done, it doesn't take as long because although my hair's not as thick as it used to be, I still do have a lot of hair. We're gonna face frame myself. I have had a full day. First things first, a little something to take the edge off. This was just calling my name for some reason. I need to make it known that I am a professional and everyone touching my hair in this process is a professional. This is not unusual for me. I did this side in about 15 minutes. This in itself doesn't take that long. It just is going to save time tomorrow. So now we're going to do side 2. Please, I'm begging you, do not try this at home. All right, we're done. That took about 25 minutes. And the whole, I need to make sure it's recording. Also, just so everyone knows, I know on YouTube it's supposed to be horizontal. And I think moving forward, I will start doing them horizontal. But I was trying to like repurpose all of this for TikTok. I'm learning, okay? So I just want to say self-care is the most inconvenient thing of my life, but it is so necessary. Like my whole identity is my hair and my physique and looking and feeling my best. And somebody the other day said that I am a walking billboard. I do not disagree, truth be told, okay? It's important I do these things, but it is always so inconvenient. So for example, today is a Sunday, I work 7 days a week. So Ryan and I had to be at the center at 9. So I woke up at about 6:30 today, got up, did my fasted cardio. I worked 9 until 2. From the center, Ryan and I went to the gym. So today I did shoulders and back. So my food was increased this week, and today is like day 2 on the food bump. I'm having kind of a hard time getting it all in, not gonna lie. I need to eat again, like right now. After the gym, we went and got some more groceries, came home, had a meal, FaceTime my family. This needs to get done so my day tomorrow is like way more smooth. Tomorrow is a rest day, so I try to take advantage of my rest days and do my self-care on those days because I get like an extra 2 hours back. Tomorrow will be part 3 of the hair, and then part 4 will be next Sunday. In the grand scheme of things, this only took me 25 minutes to do. It'll probably be like an hour total by the time I shower and all the things. So I'm gonna go get my meals together like this. I do not get my hair done very often. I just do like bits and pieces about every 4 months. But when I do it, it's just like bits and pieces like this. So this whole 2-week process is gonna be like the whole shebang. We are on day 3 of my self-care saga, and I'm going to be very honest in saying it has taken a lot to get me here this morning. Anytime I have scheduled self-care, a million things happen, and there's a million reasons why I shouldn't go through with my scheduled self-care. So I've stopped scheduling it, to be honest, and it's kind of like a tentative thing. However, this actually was scheduled, and life is life. A million things happened last night, this morning, a million reasons why I should not self-care, a million reasons why I should not press play and bring you along with the journey. But I'm understanding the importance of showing you guys how I move through imperfect conditions and circumstances, and how you just have to move through it. You just have to breathe through it. So I am supposed to be in Chicago. Actually, I'm right on time because it just turned 10 a.m., 10:01. And I got here. It wasn't perfect, but I got here. I'm right on time. I just dropped Ryan off at the center, and then I'm supposed to go straight into Chicago to get my hair done. And I gave like 10:45, 11. It's going to take me like 45 minutes to get there. So I have right now about 15 minutes to eat my breakfast. I have all my meals with me, just, the essentials in my bag. And we're here. We're going to do it. We're going to make it happen. So consistency is key. My breakfast stays the same. I don't always have time to like sit down and eat it, but I can make it, and I can get it in me when I can get it in me. I've got my oats, my eggs, my berries, my water, and you never know what you're going to pull out of the pockets. So I've got my utensils and my supplements. I'm going to get my meal in right now. I'm actually going to move my car before I start eating because I'm parked right in front of a neighboring business, and I feel weird sitting there facing them and eating in my car. Anybody else do this kind of stuff? So we're just going to like circle around the parking lot, park the car, and eat the food. This is much better. This is also the face frame I did last night. This is going to save a little bit of time.
mic is malfunctioning, so I apologize for any background noise. Food is in. Part 3 of my hair saga is happening. My non-negotiables are happening. Studio-wise, we have classes starting at 5:30 in the morning and ending at 8 p.m. So there's classes 7 days a week. For the most part, the studio runs itself. Kind of. I'm a lot less involved than I was a year ago, let's just say that. However, when there is an emergency, I will step in. And I swear I jinxed myself on this because 2 days ago I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a dream come true. I low-key have PTSD from year 1. Just shit that has happened. I feel like enough bad things have happened. I've learned how to deal with it. I've learned how to manage it. But when these things do happen, it all falls on me. So right before bed, I just had this feeling. So I checked my phone at like 11 p.m. and my mid-morning instructor had a fever, was vomiting, and she was asking for coverage. And I was like, I'm gonna sleep on this and let somebody cover it because they probably will. I woke up to that instructor going to the hospital and having emergency gallbladder surgery. So I have 2 full classes that I need to cancel. I need to contact everybody. Waking up to that is not the best way to wake up, if I'm being totally honest with you. And then to top it off, Sunday, somebody took the wrong pair of shoes. Like this, it happens more often than you would think. That somebody took a pair of Uggs. Now I have to deal with that. These things are fine to deal with. It's just everything all at once. And then obviously I'm trying to take care of myself. So in the midst of this, it's my rest day and I still needed to do my fasted cardio. So I just had to move through it. A year ago, I would have been crying and just like not able to handle or deal with it. But somebody's got to deal with it. I've got to deal with it. So I did. I do have a helper, but it's like she's not on call 24/7. It all falls on me. I will still get every single thing done today that I need to do. If something matters enough to you, you will make it happen. You will get the meal in. You will get to that appointment. You will do what you have to do by any means necessary. Or you'll find an excuse not to. Hi, this is Kristen. I'm the owner of Together Yoga Pilates. You did not. Okay. So you did not leave with a dark brown pair of Uggs. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm just calling everybody that took all of the morning classes to try to get this all sorted out. Joys. Guess what? Right on time. 11 a.m. How did we get here? I don't know. But I had to pee so bad. I am going to head in and get this hair done. Thanks, boo. This is part 3 of the hair saga. So the last part is getting my extensions put back in. So the drive that took me 45 minutes to get here is now taking me an hour and 15 to get back. So for those of you who don't know, I was a hairdresser for 12 years. I went to beauty school a month after I graduated high school. It's been a journey. I'm not going to get too much into it today, but high level, my hair career started in Iowa. I went to hair school in Iowa. So 6 weeks into hair school, my father unexpectedly passed away. And then I just like became obsessed with hair, or just like not even hair, just like being the best that I could at hair. And not even just at hair, at everything I was doing. I was waiting tables and I was doing hair. And so I just wanted to do the most and be the best at everything. And so that's what I did. And I worked my butt off. I would open the salon. I would work until close, and then I would go straight to the restaurant bar that I was working at, and I would work there till close, till the kitchen closed, 10 or 11 at night. And then I would just rinse and repeat. I really had no life outside of work. I was okay with that. I just loved the grind. I've always loved the grind. Please hold. I'm about to do something very illegal at the moment. I just became obsessed with the grind, okay? It just like gave me purpose, you know? Can somebody let me over? There's a fucking cop coming. You guys just wanted to keep up with KP. This is what that means, okay? My boss was nuts, all right? She was really good at networking. She knew a lot of people in the industry. This salon ended up going into partnership with these two brothers, and one was very well known in the beauty industry and the other was a photographer. The photographer was the one that was partnering in our salon. And suddenly when they partnered, all these opportunities started opening up for us within the salon. I was the youngest person at this salon. I was 19 years old. So this male photographer was coming to Iowa, like I would say once a month. And when he came, it was like we all had to like be on. We had to look a certain way, dress a certain way, act a certain way. We like needed to impress him, it felt like. And me being 19 and just like eager to please, it really stressed me out. When he was in town monthly, he was always doing photo shoots for this modeling agency. It's the same modeling agency that found Ashton Kutcher. So there was a lot of young girls in the salon. We would do their hair, and then this photographer would do the photos, and then the modeling agency would come and do model calls at our salon. And so I was used to this man photographing young girls. Like that was just normal. I got the opportunity to go to LA with my two bosses. And again, I was underage, but it was a great opportunity for me to network, said my male boss. And so he really wanted me to come. I remember everyone at the salon kind of being pissed that I was getting this opportunity, and I had no idea why I was getting chosen to do this. And it felt just like exciting for me, obviously, because it felt like the first time in my life anybody had ever seen me. You know, I was like, oh my God, it's my time. So I go to LA with my female boss. We meet my male boss there, and they're taking me to all of these dinners where I'm literally the youngest person. You have to show an ID to get in. I felt embarrassed because I was getting like X's put on my hands because I was clearly underage. Like I look underage now, so imagine me 12 years ago. Oh my God, wow. Anyways, basically I got put in a really icky situation with my male boss. It was just an abuse of power is really what it was, but it really fucked me up. He took me away from the group and asked me to do things I didn't want to do and photographed me doing it. And it was pretty traumatic. I was in a relationship at the time with a male hairdresser that belonged to that salon, and I called him immediately. And when I got home from that trip, I told my female boss. This is just a high level version, okay? I don't really want to get too much into it at the moment. I told my female boss, and she asked me if he touched me, and I said no. And she looked me dead in the face and said, I don't want to hear it. And that was pretty devastating for me because I'm a 19-year-old woman who just felt so exposed. And what kept being said to me is like, you're just a sweet Iowa girl. You're just a sweet Iowa girl. I don't think that's an excuse. I'm sorry. I don't. So I sat in silence about this for a decade. And behind the scenes, I just built so much shame because what ended up happening is I got offered a promotion, I got offered a raise, and I didn't accept it. I quit. And I had signed a non-compete, so I couldn't get a job within a mile, which was like basically Iowa City, which is where I lived. So I had to move. So I moved cities. I waited tables for 9 months. I did hair out of my apartment, and I saved all of my money. I drove to New York City in my Grand Prix. And I walked into IGK Salon in the Dream Hotel, and I asked for a job. I got the job after they asked me to come back. So I drove to New York twice to get this job. I ended up getting it. So then I moved there a month later. I lived in a 250 square foot apartment in Queens, and I worked downtown Manhattan in the Dream Hotel at IGK Salon the first year that they were open. I was one of the only assistants. I worked 7 days a week. and I was so culture shocked. Like, one of my most vivid memories is it was like usually once a year, New York City just completely shuts down because of the snow. And it was snowing freaking hard. And a lot of the stylists that worked at the salon lived in New Jersey. And so I remember like everyone was calling off. But again, I was one of the only assistants, and I was opening the salon, I was closing the salon. And plus, I'm from Iowa. So I was supposed to open the salon that day. It's like freaking snowing, man. And I know like everyone's calling off. Because I think there was, if I remember correctly, I think there was a group text. So I'm like getting all these notifications, right? I just went to work. It wasn't just like a direct, I had to switch trains. I was in Queens, so I would take the subway to Port Authority underneath Times Square, and then I would transfer. So it was like a whole thing to get to work. And I just remember getting on the train. Every stop, the doors would open, the doors would close. Nobody would get on. I was the only person out. I made it to work. I remember walking to work, and there was like snow. I like was wading through the snow. And I get to work. I'm the only person that showed up. It was me and my boss. And we're just kind of like, okay. And next thing I know, somebody at the hotel comes in and is like, they're shutting down the subways. And so my boss looks at me and he said, you should go. And so I ran and I made it home. But that describes my work ethic. Okay. If I say I'm going to do something, if I say I'm going to be somewhere, I'm going to be there. I just am. So my time in New York was transformative. I was 21, working my butt off, and I met some really amazing people. That was just a time in my life I needed, because I came from a very small town where everybody knew everybody. Just like going somewhere where nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares who you are. Something about that. Something about just like being able to blend in and like the grind. Like everyone is just working so hard to be there. And it's so dirty and it's so raw and it's just like gritty. And I needed that time in my life so badly with what I was going through. I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for the grind. I'm so grateful for, being pushed to that point of discomfort. I'm so grateful for just like doing it, because I just like poured myself into work. I never like allowed myself to deal with what I was going through internally, because there's a lot of damage that happens when your credibility is questioned. I knew what happened to me was wrong. When I left that job, there were salon meetings held calling me a liar and how like I was the girl that cried wolf and I was just trying to ruin a good man's reputation. I told every single one of my coworkers what happened, because they were like my family. They all knew my dad had just died. They all knew my situation. And so when that happened to me, I told all of them exactly what happened. I like literally remember like breaking down and just like shaking. They told me like, if nothing's done, we're not working here anymore. Like everyone was going to quit. It was going to be a big walkout, whatever. And so I didn't understand it then, but I just felt like the ultimate betrayal, because nobody left except for one person. That was my significant other at the time. And so I just felt like everyone choosing to stay meant that everyone was choosing to not believe me. I still have the voicemails because everybody called me and gave me resources for like a rape hotline. They just didn't want to be involved, basically. But they were very sorry about what happened to me. And I just like...
I couldn't see then how manipulated everyone was being, but I do now.
I think like the messed up part is like I just wanted my mentor to be like somebody she wasn't. I think I was just trying to fill a void in my life. I just wanted like the salon family, and it was never going to be that for me. Me starting over in New York was like, watch me, I think I kind of like had that in the back of my head and in my heart like the whole time I was there. That industry was so toxic, and I just developed really poor coping mechanisms. Not even like I wasn't coping, I was just like numbing out in any way that I could. Then that kind of translated to diet and exercise, over exercising, under eating, but then binging. And I just developed a really, really, really poor relationship with food and with my body, it was pretty bad. And I think I was also like so culture shocked there and just felt so lonely in my relationships, all of it, that I just kind of went into a depression. Coming to in that dark place was just like, you got to get yourself out of this now. But the positive was I met my mentor and she kind of took me under her wing. She specialized in a sought after technique that like nobody knew. We moved salons, we traveled, and like it was a short period. It was a blimp in time. Everything is, right? But I just learned a system. I learned the system, and it always works with hair. And I think that became a point for me, kind of translates into bodybuilding, because now I've developed systems that I know work. I trust them. Processes, right? I'm very like system minded. Like if there's a process, I follow it, I trust it, I believe in it. And that's kind of what started it all. So when I found myself at the lowest point of understanding it was like time to get me out of there, I got myself out of there. And it was one of the hardest things I ever did, but it was necessary. And so anytime I do hair, it's like, it brings a lot up for me. Anytime I'm in a salon environment, it brings a lot up for me. That's why I kind of avoid going to salons. But once I moved back to Iowa, I started just going back to New York once a month, maintaining my clientele. I had a studio salon there that welcomed me back with open arms every single time. It was great when it was still open. It no longer is. But through my network, I was able to connect with other salons. And so to this day, if I wanted to go back to New York, I would have a place to go. So when I moved back to the Midwest, I was at a pretty low point in my life, and I moved into my grandma's. She was a snowbird.
So her house sat empty half the year. I ended up moving in by myself. I got a job waiting tables and I got a gym membership, and this is where my fitness journey like really began. My plan was to move to Chicago by myself and kind of have a fresh start, build a new clientele. And at that point, I got on Match.com.
And a man messaged me named Ryan Simmons and asked me if I wanted to meet for lunch. And I said yes. That is the story of how it came to be. But Ryan introduced me to bodybuilding, and the rest is history. Prior to being a business owner, I would travel before the pandemic once a week to a different city: New York, San Francisco, Miami, Chicago. And then after the pandemic, I started doing it once a month, a different city once a month. And now I'm at the point where I just do Chicago quarterly. I had a few clients that I would travel for, like do a house call. They would fly me in. You know, as I've gotten busier, as time's evolved, those have kind of fallen off because I just don't have the time. So I'm grateful because who did my hair today was one of my assistants. He traveled with me for years. Now he's like killing it in the city, and I'm so proud of him. You know, I had four really good assistants that like became like my best friends. That's what I did for quite a while before being a business owner, and I feel like those lessons and everything that happened to me early on just kind of like shaped who I am. But yeah, that's the story I wasn't planning on telling today, but traffic made me do it. I will say, when I got the opportunity to move to New York and I was like manifesting it, I was waiting to hear if I got the job. I remember just sitting there and just being like, if I get this, I will never be sad again. I will never complain again. I remember I said it out loud. And then as soon as I got it and I was living it, I was so sad. So I think there's times in your life when you think you reach your peak. You think that you've made it. And then you're like so underwhelmed with the reality of what that is. And I feel like I found what that felt like early on in life, my early 20s. And I think from there, it's just like I've just continued feeling like anything's possible, and just knowing that all you have to do is ask for it. Because most people don't. They sit there and they wait for things to happen to them. You just have to believe in yourself enough And I've learned that with a lot of the opportunities that I got from being in the beauty industry. I always say it feels like I've lived 9 lives and I'm 31. But it's true. I just aspire to be like an old wise woman. I think I'll get there sooner than I want to because of how fast life goes. You know, it makes me sad being like in this business owner seat because I've lost a lot of friends along the way. You know, people fall off when you start taking things seriously in life. And for me, I've always taken my work seriously, whatever that has been, whether that was hair, whether that was being a business owner, whether that is my goals in bodybuilding. We have some family friends that texted Ryan not that long ago and said, let us know when you guys aren't dieting again so we can be friends and do something. Ryan's like, well, Kristen's taking this season like pretty seriously. And so then people just don't want to find a way to see you because of it. And some people grow with you and some people still make space for you and you know, some people don't. I'm grateful for the ones that are understanding and are there through every season because like the real ones are. There's just like a few people in my life, and most people in my life don't fully understand the whole bodybuilding thing, but some have seen me go through it over and over and over again, and they understand like how much it means to me. And while they might not understand it fully, they, you know, support me and they want me to be happy.
Day 4 of the self-care hair saga. Welcome back. I'm currently on my way downtown Chicago. It is 1 degree outside. I haven't formally announced this, but this is my last hair day, you guys. I think it's time to move on with my life. I only have a few really good clients that see me in the city. Everyone now I send to my assistants, Lexi and Blake, which is just such a blessing. That's just so much more convenient for everybody, because for me to give one date and everyone to coordinate their life around that, it's hard. And it's hard for me too. Even though I scheduled this date a couple months ago, my life is so unpredictable right now, and it just is on the most inconvenient of times. I haven't had a day off in weeks. I'm not going to have a day off until Christmas. I know this is going to fill up my cup and do exactly what it needs to do for me, but I could really use the rest today. It's a nice little like palate cleanse, but it's just too much to add to my plate. And then also, I don't think people understand like the mental toll that it takes on me. When you outgrow a version of yourself and then you keep going back to it like every 4 months, in a sense, this version of me has evolved, right? And I'm so grateful for the clients. Like, these clients have been with me for years. One of my clients today flew in from New York. The other one is my very first client from Chicago. So it kind of like breaks my heart a bit to be done with it, just because they've been there through times in my life that I just felt like so misunderstood, you know? But they always understood me, like, as I was evolving through being a business owner, as I was evolving through my move from New York to home, and like, no matter what, it's like they always made time in their life to sit in my chair. And that's been like one of my biggest lessons. Like, if they wanted to, they would. I have clients that will quarterly fly across the country to sit in my chair. When I step back into this version of myself, it just feels like I'm opening this wound of my past every time I step in to a salon. I know it's just part of the healing process, because I try to like reframe it in my mind. How do they say it? Like, smile in the places you've cried, change the narrative. And I feel like for a long time, like, that's kind of what I've convinced myself that I'm doing, is I'm changing the narrative. And like, I just haven't wanted to quit or give it up, because I'm not a quitter and I don't want people to see me quit or give up on hair. You know, it's a trade I will always have, and I wouldn't be who I am today without it. But I just don't see how I can like continue to fit it into my life with all of the other things that I aspire to be and I have going on. It feels a little heavy today. Selfishly, it's always kind of been an excuse too for me to get my hair done. However, I always plan to get my hair done after my clients, and 9 times out of 10, we don't do it just because things get pushed back and backed up. It's hard to get everybody on the same day too because I was supposed to have a few more that were traveling in, and then life happens. So I only have a few, but I'm getting my extensions put back in, and then I have to like be back to pick Ryan up. It's just a whole dance. Plus tomorrow is supposed to be our closing date. But like I said, like if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I've canceled one time and it was because my stepdad passed away. I mean, people understood. So it's just kind of like a domino effect of like, this is literally the last thing I should be doing right now, but obviously I'm going to do it. We have officially completed the self-care hair saga journey. This is part 4. The hair is in. I'm on my way right now to go and pick up Ryan, go home, get my rest day cardio, get caught up on my meals, and prepare for the week ahead. So if you made it to the end of this episode, thank you for being here. Today is the day after I shared that I'm not going to be doing any hair travel in 2026. I purposely didn't tell my clients in person yesterday because I don't like goodbyes. This has been a pretty bittersweet time for me in my life, but I mean, life is long, you guys. Who knows? Hair is a trade that I'll always have, and this might just be a see you later. I don't know. I just know right now this is what I need to do. But it has been bittersweet, and I'm very grateful for everyone that has reached out to me. I wasn't really expecting that. I think people are pretty sad to hear this news. Somebody said, "We lost a good one today." I'm like, I'm still here. But no, I appreciate it. You know, there's so many hairdressers out there now with the way the internet is who are like going viral on TikTok and this and that. But I just think the internet is so fake, you guys. And I'm grateful to have been a part of that wave in the industry where I was known for being me. And while most people didn't really know what I was going through then, I think it's important that I share it now because when I did open up a couple years ago about what happened to me early on in my career, and you guys listen, what happened to me now in 2025 is not a big deal. We hear about this all of the time, but back in 2013, like these things didn't happen. I mean, they happened, they just weren't talked about. And I think that's why it was so difficult for me then to go through it because I didn't know anybody else was going through these things and they weren't common. It wasn't until like 2020 when like the whole Me Too movement happened and all of these stories came out in the media. And I just remember at that time in my life, I wasn't ready to share. It's sad because this is something that happens in every industry, not just the beauty industry. Yeah, of course, I never wanted this to be part of my identity. I never wanted people to know me for what happened to me, which is why I never told anyone. But there's something about sitting in silence and just like internalizing it. And on the outside, everyone just saw me doing well. And nobody knows what it was really like for me and what it continues to be like for me to this day, because to this day, it does still affect me. But when I did open up about it a couple years ago, I'll never forget the amount of people that DM'd me and like people I knew well in the industry that were like, oh my God, something similar happened to me. I never told anybody. And that was kind of confirmation for me then that like it was the right thing to do to talk about it. But like I said earlier, I shame spiraled and I deleted it because I do feel like 3 years ago at that point in my life, I couldn't stand for it to like be out there and people to like know. Every once in a while, I'll talk about it like on the stories. It's just really come up in these last 2 weeks of me closing this chapter because I feel like without it, I wouldn't be me. Like I'm not a surface level person. I like to know people. And so I just kind of felt like a fraud for a long time for like sharing so much of my life online and like also leaving out so much. So I feel like YouTube is a great opportunity because the people here, if you're sitting here listening to me for this long, like you're clearly invested in my life and you clearly deserve to know who I am. and why I do what I do.
This episode was really not thought out or planned. So as I'm living through this and putting this episode together, sharing the news on social media, going through my camera roll, it's brought up so many memories. So bittersweet closing this chapter. And so I've been asking myself like what I want to get out of sharing this YouTube episode. And the answer is just peace. I think I wasn't able to fully close this chapter 3 years ago because I needed one more life experience to get my closure and to fully step into the next chapter of my life. And I think that life experience is being a business owner. Being a business owner has been such a unique experience, and we are coming up on year 2. I have learned so many hard lessons. I now fully understand the sacrifice it requires to go all in on your dreams, right? And I am such an empathetic person. And so throughout these 2 years of being a business owner and employing 30 women, I know from my personal experiences the kind of boss and leader I don't want to be. And so I've started to understand my boss on a level that maybe I didn't 12 years ago. Just because there have been situations in the last 2 years where there have been claims made that I'm abusive, Ryan's sexist when he employs 30 women. And those claims are so gut-wrenching to me, specifically because of what I went through early on in my career, but just because, and I'm gonna get really passionate here for a minute, there are shitty ass people out there that do try to ruin a good thing. And as these things have come up and happened, it's made me reflect on myself when I was an employee and maybe what that was like for my boss and her needing to protect her business. But I can't relate because I would never dismiss what happened, ever. My intention with sharing my truth was because the success that I've had in my career was fueled by that experience. And so many people over the years have asked me, like, how do you do it? How did you do it? And people to this day with bodybuilding and my physique goals, how do you do it? How did you do it? How do you stay so motivated? How do you stay so disciplined? And I'm sitting in the gym parking lot right now about to go train, just like I do every other day. And my answer for how I do it is being pushed to that point of discomfort in my life that there's literally nothing else I would rather be doing than trying to become the best version of myself. And I think that's the problem. I think so many people have never experienced true discomfort, and so they stay comfortable. Or they do experience discomfort and they let it define them. They let that be the reason. And that was me for much of this journey. Why I was stuck in my health, wellness, and fitness goals, because what was holding me back was the destructive behaviors that comforted me. The alcohol, the food, and just really like the dishonesty with myself. Because when you come face to face with yourself and you look in the mirror, you don't like what you see, you don't like who you see, you get to the point where you're like, fuck that. And until you've been to that point in your life, you will be asking every single person how they do it. Most people that are great at something aren't great at everything. They pour all of themselves into that one thing. And I have been spreading myself so thin, trying to be great at everything for so long, that I'm now taking responsibility for the fact that I'm not where I want to be in any area of my life. And so this next chapter for me is really just like owning where I've been without staying there, because I want to be great at something that I'm great at and something that I love doing. And that is being myself. And maybe that's being judged for the work that I have put in my entire life to be still standing here. And for the people that don't matter, they should question how I did it. But for the people that are here, this is it. I have big goals and big dreams, and my whole life I have just followed my heart until it's led me right here. I have never been more okay with who I am and what I am than in this moment right now. And so I owe it to myself to see how far I can go, and I owe it to my clients and to my audience, no matter how small it is right now, to really share the journey. 2026 will be the first year that I have not traveled for hair. I've not had to go through this emotional roller coaster every 4 months, because it does take a toll on me physically, mentally, emotionally. And so I'm really excited to put all of myself into this next season and see where that gets me, because I genuinely feel like in my heart I have not been able to give 100% of myself to bodybuilding. So I'm ready to move on. And here is your front row seat to coming along.